What are Indians? Are we descended from Aryans who came in from Europe? Or are we descended from Dravidians who were always here in India? Or are we descended from the Indus Valley civilization? These questions have been very controversial, but in recent times, we finally have scientific evidence which allows us to answer these questions with a degree of certainty. Earlier, they used to be the archaeological evidence, okay? But now, at least dozens of papers with genetic evidence showing flow towards India, related to India.
Have been published, okay.
We will focus primarily on one paper, which is like an awesome paper.
Okay.
2019 paper. It has 100 plus co-authors from 18 countries, including from Indian colleges.
Okay.
This paper analyzed DNA from 800 different persons from 19 different locations all over this region. Dates from 12,000 BC all the way to 1 BC.
Okay.
And 269 distinct dates.
Okay,
by carbon dating.
So 269 different points in time over a period of 12,000 years. Remember that everything we do here is backed by scientific research and scientific data.
What does this paper say? It says that modern Indian DNA has come from 3 sources of DNA.
Okay.
The first is ancient hunter-gatherers who came out of Africa to India around 65,000 years ago. The second wave is of Middle Eastern pre-farmers who came around 6000 to 4000 BC. The third wave was steppe herders. These are from the steppe grasslands, Ukraine, Kazakhstan. They came in around 1800 BC.
Okay. Okay.
So now let's look at these 3 waves in detail and what they did to India.
All right. Okay. All right.
So first, 65,000 years ago, humans from Africa, they crossed the Red Sea. They crossed Arabia, they crossed Persia, Afghanistan, and then came into India, settled all these places.
Correct.
They continued. They went to the Andamans, they went to Indonesia, they went to Australia, and some of that still exists. You can see that DNA in some Andaman tribes, some of the Aboriginal tribes in Australia, and so on. Okay.
Okay.
So now India is sparsely populated by these hunter-gatherers.
Okay.
This situation continues for like 60,000 years.
Okay.
All right. Now, around 9,000, 8,000, 7,000 BC, in the region which is now Iran,
okay,
the Fertile Crescent, some of the people started to kind of figure out a little bit of cultivation of crops. Okay. They were not full-fledged farmers. They just understood some seeds, wheat and barley, and wherever they went, they would try to grow it, sometimes with success, sometimes with failure.
Fair enough.
These people, some of them, started coming towards India. Okay. And when they reached the Indus Valley, they settled there.
Okay.
Now the thing is that for a pre-farming society like this, life isn't easy when you move. The reason is that they didn't understand farming technology as such. They didn't understand different kinds of seeds.
Okay.
What happened was that where they came from, the Fertile Crescent, there rain happened in winter. So they had wheat and barley seeds which would grow very well if you had winter rain. But they moved to Indus Valley where there is rain in monsoon, summer.
Correct.
So their seeds didn't grow as well. And they were struggling a little bit.
Makes sense.
So what ended up happening is that they ended up with decent relations with the hunter-gatherers and there was trade.
Correct.
When their crops worked well, they would give it to the hunter-gatherers. When not, they would take stuff from hunter-gatherers and things happened.
Correct. Okay.
After a while, they slowly figured out variants of those seeds which worked well in this monsoon climate.
Agriculture developed.
Agriculture developed, cities started developing, they had surplus of food, they could use that for all kinds of things, and over time they developed irrigation. That's how we got the Indus Valley civilization. Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, everything else.
Oh, are these the Aryans that we spoke about at the beginning?
No. Okay. But let's first understand the current situation. Okay. Inside India, there are the ancient hunter-gatherers.
Right.
In the northwest, Indus Valley,
Huh.
there is this new thing called the Indus Valley civilization, which consists of a mixture of Middle Eastern pre-farmer DNA and ancient hunter-gatherer DNA. Remember, there was trading and intermixing for many centuries here.
Correct.
That's the current situation.
Yeah.
Okay? Aryans haven't arrived yet. But before the Aryans arrive,
Huh.
something important happens.
Okay. What?
This Indus Valley civilization
Huh.
reached its peak around 2500 BC.
Okay.
It flourished for the next 600 years. And then suddenly, starting around 1900, it began to decline.
Why?
We don't know for sure. Okay? We know that it wasn't a war, it wasn't some sudden natural disaster. Okay? We believe it was because rivers dried up. Okay?
Okay.
Because of various geological action,
Huh.
there was the Ghaggar-Hakra river system here,
Okay.
which just changed course, and this whole civilization, which depended on the rivers and irrigation of the rivers, couldn't survive anymore, and they started dying out.
Uh-huh.
Some of them, of course, started migrating into India.
Okay. Is this or could this be the famed Saraswati river that disappeared during that time?
We are not sure, but it could be. Okay? Because around that time, there was a river system and there is evidence that it disappeared. There are some mismatches there, but it could be. Okay? It could be Saraswati.
The mystery continues.
Yeah. But now what's happening is that these Indus Valley people are moving into India.
Okay.
Okay? Remember that whenever they move to a new location, they struggle initially because their crops and their systems are not adapted for that.
Correct.
And because of that, again, they are trading and intermixing with the locals.
Yeah.
At that time, again, the locals now are still the ancient hunter-gatherers who are mixing with the Indus Valley people now.
Okay. The Indus Valley people being a mix of the Middle Eastern farmers and the ancient hunter-gatherers from earlier.
Correct. After a while, what begins to happen is that their agriculture technology starts working. Okay? And they slowly become more and more prosperous.
Correct.
This results in two things. One is that the population explodes.
Okay.
We have done an episode on why India is the most populous country. It is related exactly to this.
Yeah.
Second thing is that some of them start migrating south.
Okay.
Okay. And the same thing repeats. Whenever they migrate a little bit, there is initial period of struggle, there is some intermixing, then they migrate further. So, a gradation gets set up in India from north to south.
Gradation in terms of the DNA percentages mixed.
Yeah. So, in the north, it is much more Indus Valley DNA and very little ancient hunter-gatherers.
Okay.
In the south, there is more ancient hunter-gatherer and less Indus Valley.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
If you look in terms of the original Middle Eastern pre-farmer, okay, so in the north, about 50 to 70% is that DNA.
Okay.
And in the south, about 30 to 40% is that DNA.
Okay. Okay.
This we are going to call ANI and ASI.
Okay.
Ancestral North Indian and Ancestral South Indian.
Okay.
So these are sort of the ancestors of North and South India. This is the situation in India from around 1800 BCE to 1000 BC, right?
Okay, so this is the period of the Indus Valley civilization declining.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Around 1600 BC, steppe herders from Central Asia, Eastern Europe, they started moving south.
Okay.
Near Tajikistan, they split. One part went to Iran and became ancient Persians.
Okay.
The other part came to India, and these were the Aryans.
Oh.
But we are not going to use the word Aryans because racist people took that word and they have completely changed the meaning of the word Aryan.
Yeah.
So we'll refer to them as steppe herders.
All right.
Okay.
Fair.
But these are the guys who came in with a language which was one of the ancestors of Sanskrit.
Okay.
And they came in with a religion which was one of the ancestors of the Vedic religion. Okay.
Okay.
But what the DNA evidence shows is that these guys came and they settled and they intermixed with the local populations, which is the ANI and ASI.
Okay.
but in a very interesting manner.
Hmm.
The DNA evidence shows that only the male DNA from step herders is there in India today. Almost
okay.
all the female DNA is from the ancestral hunter-gatherers, not even from the Middle Eastern pre-farmers.
That's very interesting.
So first of all, how do we know this?
Yeah.
Our DNA actually is two different sets of DNA. One is the regular DNA that you all know about,
Okay.
and that half you get from your mother, half you get from your father.
Right.
But in the mitochondria, there is mitochondrial DNA, and 100% of it has come from your mother, and she has gotten it from her mother, and she has gotten it from her mother. So you can trace an unbroken line back through all the mothers.
So mitochondria is not just the power of the cell, it is also a record of all your ancestral DNA of sorts.
Of female ancestral DNA, right?
Fair. Okay.
So, what we know is that the steppe herders probably came here without women, and they started intermixing with local women. Not just that, but looks like at least some places they outcompeted the local men. Okay? So their percentages increased.
Okay.
And
Huh.
just like the Indus Valley people,
Huh.
some of them slowly moved south, but not a whole lot. So again, there is a gradation.
Right.
In North India, maximum 30% DNA is step herder male DNA. In South India, it is as low as 10%. There are a few tribals who have 0% step DNA.
Okay. So at this point, North India is mostly Middle Eastern pre-farmer DNA with probably an equal amount of step farmer and ancient hunter-gatherer DNA mixed in.
So 40, 30, 30 is the breakup percentage.
Okay. There you go. And South India is more of the Middle Eastern pre-farmer DNA because at this point through the Indus Valley civilization and etc. they've come in. So it's mostly Middle Eastern pre-farmer DNA with another large part of ancient hunter-gatherer DNA, but only a small part of the step herder DNA mixing in.
Yeah, so actually it's 10% step herder, 40% Middle Eastern pre-farmer, and 50% ancestral hunter-gatherers.
Okay. Ancestral, not ancient, sorry. But then these are the Dravidians that we speak about? Just checking.
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, another thing to keep in mind is that the amount of DNA varies quite a lot by caste.
Okay.
Okay. In North India,
Huh.
if you look at the amount of step herder DNA, different castes have different amounts, and the maximum is in the Brahmins and the Bhumihars, the castes which were traditionally in charge of Sanskrit and of the rituals of puja and all of that. Okay, and it reduces as you go over to the other castes.
It kind of makes sense when you realize that a lot of your initial rituals might have forbidden going out of your tribe, and from the tribe castes were born, kind of. But it's very interesting to note that your DNA percentages are regulated by caste.
Well, that's a tricky question, okay?
Okay.
Because two things.
Huh.
One is that up till about 100 AD,
Okay.
so from 1300 BCE for the next 1500 years,
Huh.
there was lots of intermixing going on. Okay.
Okay.
The DNA evidence, they have looked at the ancient DNA and they have also looked at DNA of 70 different groups of modern Indians, and they have done an analysis. And what they found is that there was lots of intermixing across all castes and jatis and whatever happening until about 100 AD. And then it just kind of stopped. And since 100 AD until modern India, there is very little intermixing across castes. So DNA from 100 AD of a particular caste will be very similar to that same caste today because suddenly you became endogamous, that is marrying within your caste.
Yeah.
So another interesting finding related to our castes from DNA.
Wow. So from 100 AD till about 2000 AD, for about 1900 years, we were endogamous. We were only marrying within the caste, and only in recent times, this entire inter-caste marriage has sort of again allowed us to mix DNAs. Very interesting. We started about 65,000 years ago and we've just reached 2000 AD and probably 2024
Right. So I
AD.
think to summarize, right, Indians are a mix of ancient hunter-gatherers from 65,000 years ago
Correct.
from Africa, Middle Eastern farmers who came 6,000 to 4,000 BC,
Correct.
and steppe herders who came around 1800 BC, right? All Indians are a mix of all three.
Correct.
Okay? There is nobody who's only steppe herder or only Aryan or whatever.
Yeah.
All the languages
Huh.
are also a mix. What the steppe herders brought in, mixed with what the North Indians were doing, mixed with what the South Indians were doing. Very likely that the ancient hunter-gatherers in South India had an old language, probably Proto-Dravidian, and the Indus Valley languages mixed with that to form Dravidian languages. And then the steppe herders came in with the pre-Sanskrit, and that mixed with all of this to form Sanskrit, and then those formed all the modern Indian languages, right?
Wow. Okay, now suddenly the history of ancient India and India in modern times ties in very beautifully together.